The summons came in a sealed data slate bearing the sigil of the Ordo Hereticus, the black eye wreathed in flames. Canoness Lysandra's jaw tightened when she saw it.
"They want you for questioning,"
she said, her voice like stone.
"You will go. You will answer truthfully. You will survive."
I tried to keep my voice steady. Why would they question me? I fought in the Emperor's name.
That is exactly why.
The inquisitorial frigate was colder than any cathedral I had ever served in. The chamber where they brought me was bare except for a single chair and a hollow projector casting the interrogator's face in ghostly light. He was gaunt, his eyes like augurs probing for weakness. He began without preamble.
You manifested an unexplained energy during the Velascar engagement. Multiple witnesses attest to demonic entities being destroyed without physical contact. How do you explain this?
I hesitated. I prayed, and the Emperor answered. He smiled faintly, like a man who has heard the punchline of a joke before.
Or something answered. How do we know you are not touched by the warp in a manner less divine?
The word heretic was not spoken, but it hung in the air like a blade above my neck. Before I could answer, the chamber doors slammed open. She strode in like a living statue, golden armor gleaming, her white cloak heavy with purity seals. Her presence was a command in itself. Moven Val, Abbess Sanctorum of the Adepta Sororitas, High Lord of Terra. I had only seen her face on stained glass and carved relief. In person, she was more terrible and magnificent than either.
"This questioning is over,"
Val said, her voice a deep, resonant challenge. The interrogator stiffened.
With respect, Abbess, the Ordo Hereticus.
"Will stand down. When a daughter of the Emperor stands before them with the recommendation of Ephrael Stern and the testimony of Canoness Lysandra, do you wish to challenge their judgment as well?"
The interrogator's jaw worked, but no sound came. Val turned to me.
"You've drawn attention far sooner than most. That makes you a weapon and a target. Learn to be both."
When we were alone in the corridor, she studied me in silence for a long moment.
"Stern says you are different. The Inquisition sees danger in that. I see potential."
I don't understand what happened to me, I admitted.
"You don't have to. The Emperor doesn't need your understanding, only your obedience and your will. But understand this, the line between saint and heretic is thinner than the edge of a blade. You must tread it carefully, or you will burn again."
Her words sent a chill through me, but beneath it, something else stirred. A strange, stubborn fire. That night, as our transport left the frigate, I stood at the viewing port. The stars were cold and sharp, 1,000 silent witnesses. Somewhere in that endless dark, demons plotted, Xenos schemed, and men betrayed one another for power. And somewhere, the voice that had guided me since Domremy waited for me to take my next step. I didn't yet know if it was God, the Emperor, or both. But I knew one thing. I would not falter. To one Chabra Dimar, Kona Risle, Kona Trabar, Quaramura Nuraquar. The shrine moon of Calith burned in the void like an ember on black velvet. From orbit, we could see the wound where the Chaos Warband had landed. A jagged scar of blackened soil and shimmering warp light, spreading like rot from a tooth. The orders of the Adepta Sororitas had gathered here in force. Order of our martyred lady, black-armored and red-eyed, their banners heavy with names of the dead. Order of the Ebon Chalice, faces veiled, chanting litanies older than the Imperium itself. Order of the Argent Shroud, silver and white, bolters polished until they gleamed like moonlight. And us, a smaller detachment of the Order of the Sacred Rose, deployed under the command of Canoness Lysandra herself. Ephrael Stern and Kaiganil walked among us like strange omens. The drop was silent, save for the hum of the grav chutes. The moment we landed on the ash plains, we heard them, the music. It slithered across the field like silk over skin, too beautiful, too wrong. A chorus of voices, male and female, each note promising things I dared not name. The air shimmered, and from the warp rift ahead emerged the warriors of Slaanesh. They were terrible to behold, armor gilded and curved like the bodies they mocked, weapons that were as much instruments as they were tools of death. At their head strode a champion, tall and inhumanly perfect, his blade singing with every step. Its voice carried over the wind, honeyed and cruel.
Little saint, you kneel to a corpse upon a throne. I can give you life eternal, beauty that never fades, power that will make your emperor seem a beggar beside you.
The litanies of our sisters thundered in reply, bolters barking, flamers roaring. I charged with them, the enemy's song pressing against my mind like a lover's breath. As the battle churned, I saw the contradictions chaos would have me see. The Order of the Martyred Lady flinging themselves into hopeless charges, spending lives like coin for a moment's glory.
See how they waste their daughters.
The Ebon Chalice, so rigid in their catechisms that they ignored the cries of wounded sisters in favor of finishing a prayer.
See how their words matter more than their wounded.
The Argent Shroud, breaking formation to seize relics from the battlefield, even as the foe pressed in.
See how greed hides beneath their piety.
The champion's voice was suddenly closer, curling in my mind.
You see it now, don't you? The hypocrisy, the hollowness. You died for a king once, and they burned you for it. Now you fight for another throne, and they will burn you again. But I will never betray you. I will make you more than mortal.
I stumbled in the press of bodies, a demonette's claws grazing my pauldron. My bolter spat fire, turning her into a whale of mist, but the voice lingered. I thought of the contradictions, of the sisters whose zeal blinded them to mercy, of relics guarded more fiercely than the living. I thought of the High Lords on Terra, more politician than saint, and I knew every word of it was true. But truth from a serpent's mouth is still poison. I turned to the champion, my voice raw but steady. You speak of hypocrisy as if it is your enemy, yet your God is the greatest liar of all. Your beauty hides rot, your promises hide chains, and your power, I leveled my chainsword at him, is nothing compared to the will of the Emperor. He laughed, the sound like shattering glass.
Then prove it.
I charged. The battle narrowed to him and me, his blade against my sword, the ground buckling beneath our strikes. Around us, sisters fought and died, Stern's blade cutting through demons like starlight, Kiganil weaving between enemy champions with deadly grace. The voice pressed harder now, showing me visions, myself crowned and adored, worlds at my feet, Stern kneeling before me. I felt the temptation like heat on my skin, but my heart burned hotter. I remembered the pyre, the crowd's jeers, the pain, and the light that had carried me through it. The Emperor had not spared me from fire, but he had given me purpose. I broke the champion's guard and drove my blade into his chest. There was a burst of light, not the red of flame nor the gold of the Emperor's banners, but a pure white brilliance that seemed to sear the warp itself. The song of Slaanesh faltered, twisting into a scream as the champion dissolved into ash. The enemy broke. The sisters advanced with renewed fury, purging the field until nothing remained but scorched earth and drifting mist. When it was over, Stern found me, her expression unreadable.
You heard them?
Yes,
And?
I heard their truth, and I heard their lie. The Emperor gave me the strength to know the difference. She studied me for a moment, then simply nodded. That night, as we lit the pyres for the dead, the orders whispered my name. Some in admiration, others in suspicion. The Ordo Hereticus would no doubt hear of this before long. But in the stillness, as the smoke curled into the night sky, I heard the voice again. Well done, my sword. Well done, my flame. It had been 3 campaigns since the shrine moon of Calith. 3 wars that should have broken us, yet somehow did not. The Battle of the Red Basilica, where the sky itself split and rained blood, yet my sisters fought with such unity that the heretic horde broke like water against stone. The Siege of the Voidspire, where I walked through the enemy's plasma fire untouched, carrying the banner of our martyred lady to the topmost rampart. And the Wailing Chasm, where the ground collapsed beneath us and we fought demons in the dark for 3 days with no food, no rest, and only the light of our faith to see by. In each of these battles, something happened that others called miracle. A bolter jam would unjam in my hands without touch. A sister mortally wounded would rise again to fight beside me. An enemy's killing stroke would turn aside as though hitting an invisible shield. By the end of the 3rd campaign, they had begun to call me the God Emperor's Flame. It was after Wailing Chasm that I stood before Morven Val herself, High Lord of Terra, Lord Commander of the Adepta Sororitas. She studied me in silence for a long moment, her armor looming like a cathedral wrought of steel and gold. Ephrael Stern stood to one side, her expression as calm and unreadable as the void.
You know, I've read your file. All of it, even the sealed parts.
I did not speak.
I know where you came from, Jean. I know you burned for your king and for your god, on a pyre of smoke and shame.
The memory flared behind my eyes. The wooden stake, the jeering crowd, the flames licking higher as my voice rose in prayer.
You should know that martyrdom in the Imperium is complicated. Sometimes it's glory, sometimes it's politics, and sometimes it's both.
I know, I said. My voice felt small in that great hall. She leaned forward slightly.
Then tell me, now that you fight in this age, in this Imperium, what do you still want?
I glanced between her and Ephrael Stern. Stern's gaze was sharp, curious, but not unkind. I began slowly, a France that would be whole again, a people united, strong in the face of their enemies, free of the rot that eats kingdoms from within. I wanted a crown that served its people, and a people who loved their God as much as he loved them. I looked down at my hands, scarred now from more than flames. I hear their voices still, I admitted earnestly. Saints, angels, messengers of the Emperor. They are not silent. They guide me in battle as they did in my youth. They tell me to be a sword, but also a shepherd, to carry not just the Emperor's will, but his mercy. Morven spoke softly.
And do you believe them?
Yahu. My voice was firm now. I believe because I have seen the Emperor's hand at work. I have seen sisters rise when death had claimed them. I have seen his light burn away the warp. And I have seen my own heart, and it has not turned to pride. Morven's eyes narrowed, not in suspicion, but in assessment.
Good. Because the higher you rise, Joan, the sharper the blades aimed at your back.
The campaign that followed would test those words. Deep in the void lay the world of Carifon, where ancient catacombs sang in voices that drove mortals mad. The Ordo Malleus feared the demon prison beneath the planet's crust had weakened. Morven dispatched me, Stern, and a joint strike force of 3 orders militant to cleanse the threat. The enemy this time was not mortal nor demon alone. It was something between. Warp wraith that could possess the dead and wear them like armor. The air inside the tombs thrummed with their song, low at first, then rising into a hymn of despair. They came in endless waves, and our lines began to falter. The song burrowed into my mind, showing me visions. A France rebuilt under my rule, an imperium remade in my image.
Only take the crown, and you will save them all.
I dropped to one knee, my sword point biting into the stone. The voices of the Emperor's messengers rose above the corruption. Stand, Joan, burn for me. And I did. A light burst from my armor, brighter than any flamer. The wraiths screamed and withered, their song breaking into fragments. The sisters rallied, pressing forward through the tomb until the last of the enemy was purged in holy fire. That night, in the quiet of the tomb's outer chambers, Stern found me. She was impressive and amused with her usual drawl.
You turned down a crown again.
I smiled faintly. Some crowns burn worse than pyres,